On April 20th, 2026, David Anthony Burke, the 21-year-old singer known as D4vd, stood behind a glass barrier in a Los Angeles courtroom. Stone-faced, dressed in black, and heard the charges read aloud. First-degree murder with special circumstances, continuous sexual abuse of a child under 14, and mutilating human remains. The victim was a 14-year-old girl named Celeste Rivas Hernandez, and the maximum penalty on the table was death. The case of D4vd and Celeste Rivas Hernandez has set the internet on fire, and the details that have come out in the last week are some of the most disturbing things to emerge from the music industry in years. So let's go through everything. From the moment D4vd became famous, to the moment he was told he could be executed by the state of California. On Monday morning, April 20th, 2026, Los Angeles County District Attorney Nathan Hochman held a press conference alongside LAPD Chief Jim McDonnell. The purpose? To announce that D4vd, real name David Anthony Burke, had been formally charged with capital murder. Hochman announced that Burke was charged with murdering 14-year-old Celeste R., whose body was found decomposed and dismembered in his car that had been impounded in September 2025. The charges were not simple. The first-degree murder charge, which would carry a penalty of death or life in prison without parole, was aggravated by special circumstances, lying in wait, committing a murder for financial gain, and murdering a witness to a crime. On top of the murder charge, the singer is also accused of continuous sexual abuse of a child under 14 years old and mutilating human remains. At the press conference, Hochman laid out what he said was the motive. According to prosecutors, Burke killed Celeste when she threatened to expose his criminal conduct and devastate his musical career. Hochman described the alleged killing as a calculated act, a financial decision. He said the financial gain circumstance was for Mr. Burke to maintain his very lucrative musical career that Celeste was threatening on that night. The DA also noted that Celeste was a witness to the alleged sexual crimes committed against her, which formed another special circumstance. Hours later, D4vd was brought into the courtroom. Seeking a quick trial, D4vd entered a not guilty plea Monday. In a brief appearance in a downtown Los Angeles criminal court, sitting behind a glass barrier in LA Superior Court Judge Teresa McGonigal's courtroom, Burke stood with a stone-faced expression behind a glass partition, wearing a black hoodie as he entered a plea of not guilty. His lead defense attorney, Blair Burke, spoke on his behalf. She told the court, "We believe the actual evidence will show David Burke did not murder Celeste Rivas Hernandez." Burke also requested that the preliminary hearing take place as soon as possible, noting that nearly all defendants waived their right to have that hearing happen within 10 court days. But Burke did not. Celeste's family attended D4vd's hearing on Monday afternoon. Her mother, father, and sister attended the arraignment and had little visible reaction to the proceedings. Their attorney, Patrick Steinfeld, said the family is committed to ensuring that Celeste's voice is heard and her memory is honored throughout this process. Burke's own parents released a statement through their attorney. The Burkes are not surprised, but are terribly disappointed that the district attorney chose to charge David. Nevertheless, they support and stand by him 100%. The judge ordered Burke held without bail. His next court date was scheduled for April 23. The DA's office also signaled the weight of the evidence they'd assembled. Deputy District Attorney Beth Silverman, who will serve as lead prosecutor, claimed that the prosecution has amassed 40 terabytes worth of evidence for the case. And despite this mountain of data, D4vd's lawyers said that they had received almost no discovery related to the case. All of that happened in one day. But to understand how D4vd ended up behind that glass partition, you have to rewind to a teenager making Fortnite montages in his bedroom in Houston, Texas. David Anthony Burke was born on March 28, 2005, in New York City, and raised in Houston, Texas. Before the Billboard charts, before the record deals, before the sold-out tours, Burke was a kid on the internet. He began his music career by uploading Fortnite gaming montages. To avoid copyright issues, he started creating original music, blending lo-fi pop, R&B, and indie rock. It was a workaround born out of necessity, and it changed his life completely. He released his music to SoundCloud, including songs such as You and I, Take Me to the Sun, and Runaway. He chose the stage name D4vd partially to increase his search engine optimization. In a world where discoverability means everything, it was a shrewd, deliberate move for someone who hadn't even finished high school. The turning point came in the summer of 2022. He released the single Romantic Homicide on July 20, 2022, following TikTok snippets of it going viral. The song charted at number 3 on the Hot Alternative Songs chart and appeared at number 33 on the Billboard Hot 100 chart, marking his first entry on the chart. For a 17-year-old kid from Houston who had never set foot inside a recording studio or worked with a professional producer, those numbers were staggering. The music industry took notice almost immediately. The song's success prompted Darkroom and Interscope Records to sign Burke in September 2022. According to multiple reports, at just 17, he is believed to have received a $500,000 signing bonus, and the contract guaranteed $3 million for an EP. According to TMZ, that kind of money, handed to a teenager, would mark the beginning of a meteoric but deeply troubled ascent. In 2023, he released 2 EPs. Petals to Thorns and The Lost Petals came that year. The former charted in 6 territories. He was opening for SZA on her massive SOS tour, traveling the country, playing arenas packed with tens of thousands of people. He was collaborating with artists like Kali Uchis, racking up millions of monthly listeners on Spotify, and building a devoted Gen Z fan base that treated him like the voice of a generation. D4vd had more than 21 million monthly listeners on Spotify and gained a huge following on TikTok with songs like Here With Me and Romantic Homicide. But here is where the timeline starts to darken in a way that no one, not his fans, not his label, not the industry, saw coming. According to prosecutors, the sexual abuse of Celeste Rivas Hernandez began in September 2023. Rivas Hernandez was a child runaway whose parents first reported the then 13-year-old girl missing in April 2024. Prosecutors allege she was groomed and sexually abused by D4vd for at least a year from September 2023 until September 2024. That is to say, at the very same time, D4vd was ascending into mainstream stardom, touring, releasing music, signing brand deals. Prosecutors allege he was engaged in a sustained pattern of sexual abuse against a 13-year-old girl from Lake Elsinore, California. Rivas was allegedly a member of Burke's official server in the messaging app Discord as early as 2022, evidenced by the presence of a user with the username Celeste, whom other users at the time referred to as Burke's girlfriend. In January 2024, the two appeared together in a live stream on Twitch, joking and talking into the early morning hours before D4vd, laughing, said, "Delete everything." That live stream would later become a critical piece of the digital trail connecting the two. After the discovery of Rivas's body, photographs allegedly showing them together surfaced. Rivas's mother stated that her daughter had a boyfriend named David, and Rivas and Burke had matching tattoos. Rivas's brother told NBCLA that she went missing after Burke picked her up in his car. So while the world was streaming D4vd's songs and watching his TikToks, a family in Lake Elsinore was desperately searching for their daughter. And the person they would later learn she had been with was the same person performing on stages across the country. By early 2025, D4vd was preparing for the biggest moments of his career. He was gearing up for his Coachella debut and the release of his first full-length studio album, Withered. Everything was building toward a crescendo of commercial success and public adulation. And then came April. On April 11, 2025, D4vd had a major career moment. He performed at Coachella for the first time. At the festival, he spoke with the Associated Press. "I was such an internet kid. The internet is really what I claim as my home," he said. During his Coachella debut, he face-planted while attempting a backflip. It was the kind of endearing, clumsy moment that endeared him further to his fan base. The internet loved it. 12 days later, on April 23, 2025, everything allegedly changed. According to the criminal complaint, Celeste, who had run away from her family's home in Riverside County, was invited to Burke's Hollywood Hills home on April 23, 2025, and was never heard from again. The DA was blunt about what he believes happened next. Hochman told reporters that Celeste had threatened to expose Burke's sexual abuse, and in response, according to prosecutors, Burke allegedly murdered her, cut up her body, and stuffed her body in 2 bags that were placed in the front trunk of his car. The charging documents allege Burke used a sharp instrument to kill her. The timing was devastating. Hochman said the brutal and horrific murder occurred on April 23, 2025, just 2 days before the release of D4vd's debut album. Withered, which opened at number 13 on the Billboard 200. Burke released the biggest project of his career 48 hours after he allegedly killed a child. April 23 is also the same day tickets for D4vd's world tour went on pre-sale. According to prosecutors, the mutilation of Celeste's body did not happen on the same day as the killing. Prosecutors say D4vd murdered Celeste on April 23, 2025, but mutilated her body May 5th. Authorities say D4vd took a mysterious trip to a remote area of Santa Barbara in the spring of 2025, and that could align with the May 5th date. The implication prosecutors are drawing is chilling, that Burke lived with the reality of what he had allegedly done for nearly 2 weeks before dismembering the body. After the alleged murder and mutilation, investigators confirmed that the Tesla had been parked on Bluebird Avenue since late July 2025, around the time Burke began his national tour. The car sat there on a residential Hollywood street with Celeste's remains inside it for over a month before it was towed. The Withered tour began in August 2025. However, the tour and all public appearances were suspended on September 19th, following the death of Celeste Rivas Hernandez and suspicions around Burke's involvement in her death. And by all accounts, during those months between April and September, D4vd continued to promote his music. He posted on social media. He performed show after show. He smiled for cameras. He sold merchandise. He lived publicly as though nothing had happened. Following the release of the criminal complaint, social media posts are resurfacing, showing D4vd appearing to promote his music without a care in the world. September 8, 2025 is when this story stops being something that only D4vd knew about, allegedly, and becomes something the whole world would confront. On September 8, 2025, the remains of 14-year-old Celeste Rivas Hernandez were discovered in Los Angeles, California, inside the front trunk of an impounded Tesla registered to David Anthony Burke. The discovery happened because of a smell. The car had been abandoned on a street and taken to a Hollywood impound yard, where an employee called police due to a foul smell radiating from the car. After police responded to reports of a foul odor coming from the car in a Hollywood tow lot, they discovered 2 black bags containing severed, decomposed body parts that were later identified as Rivas. Her head and torso were found in one bag, and her arms and legs in another, according to the court documents. When the body was found, D4vd was not in California. The car was parked minutes from the rental property where D4vd was living, but he was not in California when the gruesome discovery was made. D4vd was preparing to go on stage in Minneapolis at the time. He performed that evening and at several more shows before ultimately pulling the plug on his world tour. After the remains were identified as Celeste, in September 2025, a day after what would have been her 15th birthday, her dismembered and decomposed body was discovered in the trunk of a Tesla, registered to D4vd while he was in Minneapolis on a world tour, promoting his debut album, Withered. The identification took time because of the advanced state of decomposition. A medical examiner's statement at the time described the remains as severely decomposed. The condition of her remains delayed the medical examiner's ability to determine cause of death, said Police Chief McDonnell. In the weeks that followed, the walls began to close in around D4vd. On November 24, 2025, the LAPD publicly characterized the case as an investigation into murder for the first time, a shift from earlier statements that avoided classifying Rivas's death as a homicide. LAPD Deputy Chief Alan Hamilton stated that accountability is coming. The department also clarified that Rivas's body was neither frozen nor decapitated, addressing widespread misinformation. The fallout from the music industry was swift and total. Following the identification, his ongoing tour and a planned deluxe reissue of Withered were canceled. The Associated Press confirmed that D4vd was dropped by Interscope last year. Interscope Records suspended all Burke-related promotions, and Crocs and Hollister Co. pulled their brand partnerships. Singer-songwriter Kali Uchis pulled the song collaboration Crashing from streaming services and stated that Burke is not my friend. Rivas's family expressed profound grief and devastation over her death. The community in Lake Elsinore showed significant support, with vigils held in her honor. Behind the scenes, the investigation was expanding. The probe was officially secret, but its existence and his designation as its target was revealed in February when his mother, father, and brother objected in a Texas court to subpoenas demanding they testify. The court filings, which typically would be sealed since they were dealing with a secret grand jury investigation, went public since the singer's family tried to block their enforcement by going to a Texas judge. The judge ultimately denied their petition. Robert Morgenroth, general manager of Mogul Vision, testified before the grand jury and was questioned about the singer's movements and the handling of the case. And then there was the song. An unreleased song, reportedly titled Celeste, surfaced online in December 2023 and again in September 2025. Media outlets speculated that the track was seemingly recorded by Burke, but its authenticity and circumstances of its circulation could not be independently confirmed. The song is unreleased, but surfaced online shortly after media had identified the body of Rivas. In the summer of 2024, by the time Rivas was reported missing, Burke claimed to be in a song crisis in his Discord server, to which an anonymous user replied, "Drop the one with the missing girl Celeste Rivas Hernandez." Burke did not reply to this message. For 7 months after the discovery of Celeste's body, the public waited. Critics slammed the LAPD for moving too slowly. Conspiracy theories proliferated online. Families demanded answers, and through it all, D4vd remained free, a fact that enraged millions of people who had been following the case. Then, on April 16, 2026, it was over. LAPD officers from the Robbery Homicide Division arrested David Anthony Burke at a rental property on Marmont Avenue. He was taken to the 77th Street Police Station, where he was held until April 20, when he was officially charged with the murder of Celeste Rivas Hernandez. When the family learned of the arrest, their attorney revealed that Celeste's father, Jesus Rivas, said thank God justice for Celeste after he learned D4vd was arrested. On April 20th, the DA held the press conference that revealed the full scope of the charges. He called the charges the most serious charges that a DA's office can bring. The 21-year-old singer faces a maximum sentence of life, without the possibility of parole or the death penalty. The DA said his office will decide whether to seek the death penalty at a later time. When asked why the investigation had taken so long, LAPD Chief McDonnell was resolute. "My duty is not to fuel speculation," he said. "It is to deliver justice, and that requires patience and discipline on everybody's part." He pointed to the significant challenges the investigation faced. Perhaps one of the most obvious hurdles for investigators was the advanced decomposition of Celeste's remains, which had been sealed in the trunk of D4vd's Tesla for months before they were discovered in September. Hochman stated, "There is physical evidence, and there is forensic and digital evidence that we intend to present in court to prove these charges beyond a reasonable doubt. But D4vd's defense team has made it clear they intend to fight." His trio of lawyers, Blair Burke, Marilyn Bednarski, and Regina Peter, are not unknowns. Burke is an established celebrity defense attorney, perhaps best known for her work with Mel Gibson after his anti-Semitic outbursts and Lindsay Lohan after her DUI. Burke is part of a high-powered law firm that has represented Harvey Weinstein, Kanye West, and Britney Spears, among other celebrity clients. The defense's position has been consistent and unambiguous. Let us be clear, the actual evidence in this case will show that David Burke did not murder Celeste Rivas Hernandez, and he was not the cause of her death. The three attorneys said in a statement. In court, Burke added, "We would like to have the evidence come into the light of day." The day after the arraignment, the family of Celeste Rivas Hernandez released their first public statement. After D4vd was charged with first-degree murder in the 14-year-old's death, the family wrote, "Celeste was a beautiful, strong girl who loved to sing and dance. Every Friday night was movie night, and we spent wonderful times together. We love her very much, and she always told us that she loved us. We miss her deeply. All we want is justice for Celeste." So where does this leave everything? D4vd is incarcerated at LA County Men's Central Jail in Los Angeles as of April 2026. He has entered a not guilty plea to every charge. His defense team is pushing for a rapid preliminary hearing, betting that the evidence, when laid out publicly, will tell a different story than the one prosecutors have presented. The prosecution, meanwhile, is sitting on 40 terabytes of digital and forensic evidence and has not yet decided whether to pursue the death penalty. What is undeniable is this: Celeste Abigail Rivas Hernandez was a 14-year-old girl from Lake Elsinore, California. Born to parents who immigrated from El Salvador, Rivas was reported missing 3 times in the final year of her life. She loved to sing and dance. She had a soft smile and thick curly hair. And on a night in April 2025, she walked into a house in the Hollywood Hills and was never heard from again. Whether D4vd is ultimately convicted or acquitted, the facts that have already emerged paint one of the most disturbing pictures the music industry has ever confronted. A TikTok star beloved by millions, a child who vanished, a body in a trunk, and a trial that could end in death. The courtroom has only just begun to hear this story, and the world is watching.